We have Mr. Yoshi here today joining us behind us. I'm sorry, I know y'all didn't come here to see me. And what I want to talk about is something that when you're looking into the Tosa and trying to find out more information about it, this question of type that if you've read anything I've written, you've probably heard me talk about before. I found a very good way to illustrate that and also to answer the question of what breeds went to create the Tosa. Now, as far as we can tell, there are 4 breeds we know for certain went into making the Tosa. There are many breeds that are reputed to have gone into making the Tosa, and again, as far as we can tell, those breeds were not used in any sort of great capacity. And what I mean by that is, honestly, even to this day, Tosa dogmen are still fighting the dogs, still having them go and do their professional sport. And they're always looking for ways to improve on what they've got, to do better, to somehow get an edge on the competition. And when it comes to it, if they find a dog that has any sort of promise in the ring, it doesn't matter what breed it is, they're going to try it. Sometimes it's a dog that shows promise in the ring. Sometimes it's not a dog that shows promise in the ring, but it's got size or grit or this, that, or the other thing, and they just want to see what happens, and they'll try it. That's just fine. What ends up happening is that oftentimes, because of the secrecy that surrounds these dogs, or at least the kennels that these dogs come out of, because of that secrecy, people see a Tosa dog that looks like it has bully cutta, and then they think that bully cutta helped to make the breed, and that's not true. As far as we know, there are 4 breeds that were used to make the Tosa. They are the Pit Bull, the Shikaku, the German Pointer, or some people might say an English Pointer. I believe that I see a lot more. Well, I take that back. I kind of feel like I can see both. And who knows, they might not have been split by that time. But in any case, some form of pointer. And of course, the venerable Mastiff, right? The old English Mastiff type. When it comes to the dogs that were used to make the Tosa, again, you got a lot of variety in there, and it's really tough to explain it, because sometimes when people are telling you, oh, the Great Dane was used, and they'll talk about Gemma and Bricka, and they'll talk about dates when those dogs were imported. We even have pictures of those dogs on our website. You'll see them. Sorry, you can't see Yoshi because of my head. You can't see me because of my head. I'm gonna flip y'all around. All right, sorry about that. There we go. When you see people talking about these guys, again, you might see pictures of them. You'll see the dates that they came in. Of course, this is around the era that a lot of the English breeds were added in. So again, the question is, we've got dates, we've got pictures. Obviously, they must have been used. And I just want to say that Tosa, and really any working dog, any true working dog, and I don't mean a lot of the more commercialized working dog breeds that we have here in the U.S. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to act like I'm putting them in a bad light. They're just different. These commercialized dog breeds, these commercialized working dog breeds that are still less about doing the work than they are about bloodlines, titles, kennel names, badges on the dog. I think that the Tosa is very different from that. The Tosa is like the dogs that are still actively being bred for real work to this day. I'm looking at the wrong side, sorry. So when it comes to it, the best way I have found to illustrate that is that Tosas, yeah, that's you. Tosas are like apple pie. And what I mean by that is this. How do you make apple pie? What's in it? Can you tell me? And when it comes to it, I want you to be able to go to a fair, a state fair, or wherever they're having a pie eating contest or a best baked pie prize, and I want you to be able to tell me what's in that pie. When it comes to it, I mean, you can get the best taste buds on the planet out there, a pro taste tester who can tell you so many things, and at the end of the day, it's still a guess, and they can be tricked, they can be fooled, you know. When it comes to it, there are certain things that we know are in apple pie. Apples, some form of crust, you know, probably butter, some form of sweetener, perhaps a sugar, you know. Now, did this person add cinnamon or that person add whipped cream? Did they add a little bit of peaches in order to sweeten up the flavor and add a different twang to it? You know, there's no way to tell without having the recipe. And when it comes to the Tosa, it's kind of the same way in between kennels. There are some things we know for sure that everybody used to make the Tosa. There are some things we don't know. And there are also some things that we know that while some people might have used, like if you put me in the kitchen to make an apple pie, I can guarantee you it's never going to be the same recipe twice, ever. I can make 1,000 apple pies 1,000 different days, and it will never be the same recipe twice. I don't measure, and I might be in a different mood one day and be like, ooh, I wonder what this might taste like in it. Who knows? I might put gummy bears in it. You know, I mean, who knows what I put in that thing? And then we got to try to figure out what I put and how much of it and how much of everything else in the back. No, you can't. I can't tell you. I can't even tell you myself. I don't keep record of it. I go by inspiration of the moment. But what I'm getting at is that, again, there are going to be some very particular things that you find in your apple pie in order for it to be an apple pie. And I keep on blocking this dog with my big old head. Anyway, there he goes. So when it comes to it, what I have come to understand when it comes to the Tosa breed is that, yes, there are a lot of people that tried a lot of things, just the same as I will put gummy bears in an apple pie someday. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Anyway, there are people that have tried a lot of different things. They had different opportunities to try different dogs. And when the Western dogs came in and they were doing much better than the Shikoku, it doesn't surprise me that they tried many Western dogs. Maybe somebody didn't have access to English Mastiff and they went for a St. Bernard. They look the same. They're very similar. Perhaps at that time the St. Bernard had a tougher and more rugged disposition, but for whatever reason, they did not do it large scale. And while you might find dogs that have certain influences from a particular pairing with a Tosa, even to this day, to say that therefore means that they were used broadly is not accurate. That'd be no more accurate than me tasting and successfully identifying somebody put banana in their apple pie, and it's what gave it that extra oomph. And therefore, apple pies must always have banana. No, that's not true. That's not true. And even if I was able to convince the world that everybody should be putting banana in their apple pie, it's still not going to be everybody's thing. You know, everybody doesn't like banana. Some people are allergic to it, you know, so on and so forth. It's just the same. Everybody can't afford a St. Bernard. The St. Bernards and the bigger, flashier breeds probably were or are believed to have been kept closer to the major cities like Tokyo and stuff like that, as opposed to the smaller provinces like Shikoku around that time. So when it came to it, you're not likely going to see, for instance, a super flashy Irish setter in these settings. You're not going to see some of the dogs that, who knows, may have been great for fighting had they been accessible in these regions. So when it comes to it, again, the dogs that we know are the pit bull type, which again, even though today's pit bull has more, we'll say a tighter look, a tighter range of look than what the pit bull even 100 years ago had. will still say that a pit bull type, there are certain things that we could expect from it even back then. And while some might have looked more bully and some might have looked more sporty, kind of like the American Bulldog can look more bully, or more sporty, still the general idea was the pit bull type, the working pit bull type was used. Same thing with the Mastiff. There wasn't as strict, at least as far as we understand, there wasn't as strict a code on what defined a Mastiff, so Mastiff type was added. We really strongly don't believe it to have been the St. Bernard. Even though Tosas definitely can have up to a medium length coat, we still find several reasons to believe that the St. Bernard was never used in any great capacity. We do have dates that St. Bernards were used. We do have, were tried. We do have names oftentimes with not just St. Bernards, but many of the other breeds that have been tried. I'm not saying nobody ever did it, but I'm saying as far as what makes our modern dog, no. I think that while we may do some digging, the history of the Tosa is still very much obscured. We know about as much of it as we do about the deep depths of the ocean, and there is a ton to discover about their past. And we might in the future come up to the understanding that yes, the Tosa is made of St. Bernard largely, and therefore should be considered a fifth breed that was used to create the modern day Tosa. As far as what we've got right now, it is nonsense to say that the St. Bernard was used. And again, when we're talking about trying to set a breed standard, trying to decide how to move forward with the breed look, the breed design, the breed intent, to a certain extent, you can expect that there will be variations in what people are breeding for. As we get more and more kennels and more breeders going, you can expect that there will be variations. People will prefer one look over the other. Again, just like the American Bulldog, there are those who prefer the stockier type, and then those that are preferring the sportier type. There's gonna be people that have their preference, but as long as we can help them to understand what is a Tosa, we can expect those preferences to run within those boundaries. However, if we tell them things like a Great Dane was used, then we shouldn't be faulting people for trying to breed a Tosa that looks like a Great Dane. We shouldn't be trying to fault people for breeding a Tosa that looks like a St. Bernard, that looks like a whatever people say was used. You know, if that thing was not used, we should not be accepting of it in that we should not be trying to breed for it. So we need to get our facts straight. We need to stick to what we know and can prove. We can take anecdotes, we can take stories with a grain of salt. There are a lot of things that I heard about the breed that for the longest time were just proving to be hearsay, but recently I found some sort of evidence about it to support it. And we're finding more and more as we can see. So there are some things that we are learning and we are changing and we are updating. But as far as what we have, we're just going to stick with what we can say we can prove, the things we can say we know, you know, so to speak. There might be things that we think we know today that prove to not be true tomorrow. There may be things that we think we know are not true today and that may be proved to be true tomorrow. But as long as we can not get so stuck on things that don't really matter, and focus more on breeding for the health of the breed, not closing down the gene pool, staying in contact with and working with the original vision of the breed. And again, if you haven't seen my video on what I mean by original vision of the breed, or original purpose and intent and design of the breed, then you should go watch that. But what I mean by that is the workability, the athleticism. I'm not talking about the way it has been applied for the last several hundred years. So yeah, if we can stick true to to that, I think not only can we save the breed now, but we can provide it a wonderful future. Thank you guys so very much for checking out our channel, for watching our videos. I hope I wasn't too boring. Thank you for following us or watching us. If you do not already follow us, please follow. If you have not liked this video, please like, and please subscribe, and you'll be able to keep up with the next videos we put out about Tosas. We love what we do here. There'll definitely be more videos, and you can learn a bit more about the breed, learn a bit more about us, and hopefully it'll be stuff that you'll find useful. One other thing I would say is that if you can, please share our information. I know a lot of people will say share, but for us it's actually more important. You may not know this, but the Tosa is what we might consider an endangered species here in the US and even in the West. I would say the place that the place that the Tosa is right now is not unlike the place where the pit bull was in the mid-50s throughout the 70s, in that they no longer are used for their original purpose here in the US. Thank God. They are not used for their original purpose. So that kind of leaves a vacuum. The breed's notoriety is going down in that vacuum, but what that opens the door for is for bad actors to get a hold of what remaining specimens there are and use them for, we'll say, nefarious purposes. And when it comes to it, this is a wonderful breed. We just barely got the pit bull to where it's like 50-50 publicity, right? I'd hate for the Tosa to be the next dog everybody hates. So please share as much as you can. Get the information out there about the breed. It took so long for the pit bull to make a comeback, not because of breeding and responsible breeding practice. No, there's always been people that have been breeding pit bulls responsibly. You know, what it took was having people in their corner, advocates, people who could stand up and say, that's not the way pit bulls act in reality. That's a dog that's been abused. That's a dog that's been mistreated. That's a dog that's been mistrained. And that can happen to any breed, you know? And the more that those people get out there, the more you see the pit bull coming out in a better light, you know? Unfortunately, it's still got a long way to go, but that was the change. And the same thing is true for the Tosa. We need people who are going to get out there and say, hey, look, that behavior right there, that's not a Tosa. This, that, the other thing, that's not Tosa behavior. This is an example of an unfortunate set of circumstances that befell an individual dog. It is not what is to be expected of the breed as a whole. So when it comes to it, I think it's super important that you share, even more than liking and subscribing, which would be awesome. But share so that the information gets out there and more people learn the truth about the Tosa. All of it, not just the fighting past, but where they are today and where they're heading. Hopefully, more people will see this, more people will share, and the information will be out there. Again, you don't necessarily have to want to get a Tosa yourself, but learn about the breed. We need more advocates. Hopefully, some people watching this will find that true and become an advocate for this wonderful, amazing breed. Thank you guys so much for your time. We'll let you go and enjoy your life and let Mr. Dante get on to his kibble for the day.